Lions come out, have a look. All the cubs in the road, fantastic. Now they're heading back towards the drainage line. So they're in and out of this thick area. Have a look. There's the male. Let's see if there's any interaction between the cubs and the males. Oh, look at that, everyone. Almost just a little quick greeting. These little cubs are very vocal at the moment. Not sure what that male is. That phlegm grimace. You can see he's probably picked up on the scent of a lion there, or something that he wants to work out what it is. So they smell and taste and then put that scent on the Jacobson's organ at the back of their palate, and that's the phlegm and grimace that they do. Look at that. Looks almost like he's smiling. These rest of the lions are moving through into the thicket there. So we've got a question from Velma who wanted to know, what age do the lions start scent marking? And it's usually when the males become dominant and are able to set up a territory for themselves. So, I mean, they'll spray the urine around and the prides will scent mark their territory, but I think males, for example, probably from about 5-6 years old, when they start moving into their prime, that would probably be the time that they do start scent marking. Morning, everybody. And then females, maybe even earlier, from about 3 to 4 years old, they'll start urinating, and that will then probably mark their territory, and those females become part of that pride very, very quickly. For males, they need to then set up territories later on, and probably have to compete with other big dominant males in the area, and they're usually only able to do that when they do get a bit older. So I would say probably 5-6 years old, somewhere around there, maybe even a bit later, depending on the competition in the area. Let's just see if we can maybe get through here. It is very thick at the moment, as you can see. It looks like there's a possibility that they've actually just laid down. So let's have a look and see if we can't get a view. Oh wait, here's the big male again. And I think the rest of the pride might get a view. Yeah, they're just to the back. But there's that male out in the open. Got an interesting question from Lord Tifron, and they would like to know, what age do the cubs start showing sexual dimorphism? And that's basically when the males and females start looking different. And I've noticed from about 8 months to a year old, you start seeing little signs of fluff around the necks of the young males. At this age, you won't be able to see any sign. These cubs are still quite young. They are now about, I think, about 5 or 6 months old, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just trying to think. June, July, August, September, October, about 5 months old. I think, and so they're still a little bit young to see any signs, but I'd say about a year, maybe a bit more, you'll just start seeing little tufts of hair forming around the necks of these lion cubs. But You'll really start seeing it at 2.5 years. You'll start seeing a large difference between the young males and the young females. Can you hear that sound? These cubs are very vocal at the moment, probably trying to suckle it. Yeah, looks like it. They're growling and squealing and moaning, wanting milk, I think. Even though they're at an age now where they're drinking water and they're feeding on meat, these lion cubs still try their luck and still try to get some milk from the mothers. Lael has asked us a question about the fighting, and if lions do get into a fight, do we keep our distance? And yes, definitely. We try and keep our distance most of the time. So, we're very sensitive when we are following these animals. We don't want to disturb them in any way. So, Lael, what usually happens is if we do see them fighting, if these big males get into an altercation, we'll definitely back off a little bit, because also it could be potentially dangerous for us if one or two of these males react towards a vehicle if it's too close. Again, we don't want to cause them to feel any threat or danger. So, and especially when they are fighting, obviously that aggression and adrenaline and testosterone running through their bodies, they can perhaps become slightly unpredictable. So what we'll do is we'll just back off, view them from a distance, and see what happens. That scar is looking a lot better on this lion. We've been seeing him the last few days. You can see it's starting to heal somewhat. I spoke about it the other day, but these big cats, lions, leopards, cheetah, and most animals in general, but especially these big cats, they have an amazing ability to heal very, very quickly. I've seen lions being cut open from branches when they were hunting, branches sticking out of long grass that they didn't see. Seen it on lions and leopards, in fact. Huge cuts around the legs and that, and you'd think, we honestly would think that these animals were not going to survive, and then all of a sudden, with them cleaning and looking after the wound 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, almost completely healed. It's incredible. And this was a nasty gash, a nasty scar. It is still looking a little bit sore, but it's definitely healed within the last week compared to when I first saw it when I got here.